Welcome to Sec 1 Geography, Rainforest Structure, Layers and Nutrient Cycling. Here is the central question of this video. The tropical rainforest is the most productive ecosystem on Earth. The most life, the most species, the most vegetation, yet it grows on some of the thinnest, most nutrient-poor soil anywhere on the planet. Farmers who clear rainforest to plant crops find the soil completely exhausted within 2 or 3 growing seasons. So how does the most productive ecosystem on Earth sustain itself on the world's worst soil? That is the question. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly why and why the answer has serious consequences for deforestation. Let me make the paradox concrete. On the one hand, the rainforest, trees reaching 70 meters in height, canopy so dense you cannot see the sky from the ground, 50% of the world's species packed into 6% of the land. On the other hand, the soil beneath it, less than 6 centimeters of anything usable, almost no stored nutrients. Completely unable to support agriculture once the trees are gone. These two things are not a contradiction, they are cause and effect. The forest is extraordinary precisely because it captures every nutrient the instant it is released. The soil is empty precisely because the forest is so efficient. The nutrients are not in the ground, they are in the trees. Before we go further, 3 mistakes that cost students marks every time. Mistake 1. For WA question 1, students write the layers from bottom to top, forest floor, understory, canopy, emergent. The question asks from tallest to shortest. Always start with the emergent layer. Mistake 2. For WA question 2, students write the canopy is at the top so it gets more sun. That describes a position, not a mechanism, and scores nothing. Mistake 3. For WA question 3, students give only one reason why soils are poor. It is a 3-mark question. 3 reasons. 3 marks. All 3 mistakes fixed by the end of this video. Here is what the exam tests on this topic. WA question 1, 2 marks. Name the 4 layers from tallest to shortest, half a mark each. WA question 2, 2 marks. Explain why the canopy intercepts most of the sunlight. WA question 3, 3 marks. Explain why rainforest soils are poor despite the rich vegetation above. Then for the final exam, question 1, 4 marks, compares the canopy with the forest floor. Question 2, 4 marks, explains why removing the canopy causes permanent damage. 15 marks in total across WA and final exam. Every one of those marks is covered in this video. Here is the roadmap. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The 4 layers of the tropical rainforest. The rainforest has 4 distinct vertical layers, each with its own light conditions, temperature, humidity, and species. Starting at the top. The emergent layer at 40 to 70 meters. These are the tallest trees in the forest. Their crowns break through the main canopy and stand alone, exposed to 100% of incoming sunlight, strong winds, and wide temperature swings through the day. Examples include the Brazil nut tree and the kapok tree. Below them, the canopy at 20 to 40 meters. This is a dense, continuous roof of overlapping tree crowns. It intercepts approximately 80% of incoming sunlight. It is also the most biodiverse layer in the entire forest, home to most of the birds, insects, and mammals, howler monkeys, toucans, tree frogs. Now the lower 2 layers, the understory, between 5 and 20 meters. Plants here receive only 2 to 5% of the sunlight available at the top of the canopy. Shade-tolerant species dominate. Palms, tree ferns, young trees that are waiting for a gap to open in the canopy above them. When a large tree falls, it creates a patch of light that races to be filled by the fastest-growing understory plant. Finally, the forest floor from ground level to about 5 meters. It receives less than 2% of sunlight. It is genuinely dark for most of the day, and yet it is warm and very humid, sheltered from wind and direct sun by every layer above it. This is where decomposition happens, and where jaguars, leafcutter ants, fungi, and bacteria live. Now let us handle WA. Question 1 directly. The question is, name the 4 layers of a tropical rainforest, from tallest to shortest, half a mark for each correct layer in the correct order. Emergent layer, half a mark. Canopy, half a mark. Understory, half a mark. Forest floor, half a mark. Forest floor, half a mark. Total, 2 marks. Always start with the emergent layer at the top. Never list from the forest floor upward. The question says tallest to shortest, so your answer must go emergent, canopy, understory, forest floor. That sequence, every time. All 4 in the correct order earns full marks. Simple recall, but only if you know the direction the question is asking for. Let us look at the light gradient across all 4 layers. At the emergent layer, approximately 100% of incoming sunlight. At the canopy, approximately 80%. At the understory, 2 to 5%. At the forest floor, less than 2%. From full sunlight to near total darkness, in 70 meters. That is a more dramatic reduction in light than you would find going from the surface of the ocean to 60 meters depth. And this gradient drives everything. Why different species live in different layers, why plants in the understory have enormous leaves, why the forest floor has almost no photosynthesizing plants. The light is simply not there. The canopy has taken almost all of it. Chapter 2. Light and the canopy. The mechanism for WA. Question 2. This is the mechanism behind WA question 2, and it has 2 parts, a structure and an effect. Structure: the canopy is formed by the dense, overlapping crowns of the tallest trees at 20 to 40 meters. These crowns do not leave gaps. They grow toward each other until they form a near-continuous ceiling of leaves and branches across the entire forest. Think of it less like individual trees and more like a single enormous surface. Effect: because that surface is so dense and covers such a wide area, it absorbs and blocks approximately 80% of incoming solar radiation before it can penetrate any further. What little sunlight makes it through must slip through the small gaps between leaves. The understory and forest floor receive the remainder, which is almost nothing. WA. Question 2, model answer. Explain why the canopy intercepts most of the sunlight in a tropical rainforest. 2 marks, 2 sentences. Mark 1. The canopy is formed by the dense, overlapping crowns of the tallest trees at 20 to 40 meters, which together create a continuous roof of leaves and branches across the entire forest. Mark 2. Because the leaf cover is so dense and covers such a wide area, it absorbs and blocks approximately 80% of incoming solar radiation before it can reach the layers below, leaving the understory and forest floor in deep shade. Check your answer against this. Never write, the canopy is at the top so it gets more sun. That is not an explanation of why the canopy blocks light from below, and it scores nothing for this question. One more concept before we move to the nutrient cycle: niches and microhabitats. A niche is the specific role a species occupies in its ecosystem, what it eats, when it is active, where exactly it lives. The 4-layer structure of the rainforest creates an enormous number of distinct niches. The sun-exposed emergent layer for soaring birds and butterflies, the canopy for monkeys and toucans, the shaded understory for tree ferns, the dark humid floor for fungi and decomposers. A microhabitat is a smaller, localized environment within a larger habitat. A bromeliad plant in the canopy that collects a pool of water becomes a tiny freshwater habitat 40 meters off the ground, home to insects and tree frogs. The more layers, the more niches, the more species. This is why a grassland, single layer, cannot match a rainforest in biodiversity. Chapter 3. The nutrient cycle. And the answer to WA. Question 3. Why are rainforest soils poor? WA question 3 asks for 3 distinct reasons. Here they are. Reason 1. Nutrients are locked in biomass. Most of the nutrients in the rainforest are not in the soil. They are locked in the living trees themselves, in the trunks, leaves, branches, and roots. The soil beneath is almost empty of nutrients because the trees have captured everything. Reason 2. Rapid root uptake. When leaf litter decomposes and releases nutrients into the thin soil layer, tree roots absorb them almost immediately. The roots are shallow. They grow specifically in the top few centimeters where nutrients appear. They grab nutrients faster than they can accumulate. Reason 3. Leaching. Over 2,000 millimeters of rainfall per year means there is always water washing through the soil. Any nutrients not yet absorbed by roots are washed downward, below the reach of roots, into deep layers where they are permanently lost. Now the full nutrient cycle, 5 steps. Step 1. Leaf fall. Trees shed leaves and branches continuously. Animals leave waste. Organisms die. Organic matter accumulates on the forest floor. Step 2. Decomposition. Bacteria and fungi break down the dead material rapidly. The warm, moist conditions on the forest floor, 26 to 28 degrees, humidity near saturation, are ideal for microbial activity. Decomposition here is 2 to 4 times faster than in temperate forests. Step 3. Nutrient release. Decomposition releases nitrates, phosphates, and potassium into the thin surface soil. Step 4. Root absorption. Shallow tree roots absorb those nutrients almost immediately before leaching can occur. Step 5. Growth into biomass. The nutrients are incorporated into new leaf growth, wood, and roots, locked back into the living trees. The cycle closes. And it repeats continuously in every square meter of the forest. Now the critical question, what happens when you remove the trees? Step 1 of the cycle, leaf fall, stops. No leaf fall means decomposers have nothing to break down. No decomposition means no nutrients are released into the soil. The nutrient input to the cycle stops completely. Meanwhile, the rainfall continues. But with no roots to intercept it, every rainfall event leaches whatever tiny residual soil nutrient there is further downward out of reach. And the rainfall that used to be intercepted by the canopy now hits bare soil at full force, stripping away the thin topsoil through erosion. Within 2 to 3 growing seasons, the soil is completely infertile. Farmers who clear rainforest for crops discover this reality within a few years. The crops fail and they move on, clearing more forest. The damage compounds. Practice. Pause 1. Pause the video now. Your question, WA, question 3, 3 marks. Explain why rainforest soils are poor in nutrients despite the rich vegetation growing above them. Write your answer before you unpause. 3 marks means 3 distinct reasons. Each reason must be explained causally, not just named. When you are ready with your answer, unpause for the model answer. Here is the WA question 3 model answer. Mark 1. Most of the nutrients in a rainforest are not stored in the soil but locked in the biomass of the living trees, their leaves, trunks, and roots. Mark 2. When leaf litter decomposes rapidly on the warm, moist forest floor, nutrients are released into the thin soil layer, but the shallow roots of the trees absorb them almost immediately. So no nutrients accumulate in the soil. Mark 3. The heavy daily rainfall causes leaching, washing any remaining nutrients downward through the soil, below the reach of plant roots, so the soil stays permanently nutrient poor. 3 distinct points. 3 marks. Check that you named all 3 separately. Biomass storage, rapid root uptake, and leaching. If you merged any 2 into a single sentence, rewrite them as separate points. Chapter 4. Canopy versus forest floor. The comparison for final exam question 1. Let us look at the canopy in detail. Light, approximately 80% of incoming sunlight, full sun conditions. Temperature, hot and variable. The canopy is directly exposed to solar radiation, and temperatures can fluctuate significantly through the day as the sun angle changes and clouds pass. Humidity, moderate to high. The canopy is exposed to wind, which dries leaves slightly. Vegetation, dense overlapping crowns, leaves are often small or waxy to reduce water loss in the intense sun. Species. This is the most biodiverse layer. Toucans, howler monkeys, sloths, tree frogs, and literally thousands of insect species. Epiphyte plants, orchids and bromeliads, grow on the branches without rooting in the soil. The canopy is also the most vulnerable layer to human impact. It is the structural foundation of everything below it. Now the forest floor, the polar opposite of the canopy in almost every dimension. Light, less than 2%. It is genuinely dark. Most photosynthesizing plants cannot survive here. Temperature, warm and stable. Sheltered by the canopy, understory, and everything above it, the forest floor experiences very little temperature variation through the day. Humidity, extremely high, close to saturated. No wind reaches here. Water evaporates very slowly. Vegetation, very little. What grows here must be extremely shade-tolerant, fungi, mosses, and seedlings waiting for a gap of light. The floor is covered by a thin layer of decomposing leaf litter. Species: jaguars, leafcutter ants, bacteria, fungi, centipedes, cockroaches, and salamanders, organisms that can function in the dark or that feed on the decomposing organic matter. Now let us use this for final exam question 1, which asks you to compare the two layers. 4 marks, 4 comparisons. Each comparison must address both the canopy and the forest floor, not just describe one. Mark 1, light, canopy approximately 80%, forest floor less than 2%. Mark 2, species. Canopy is home to toucans, monkeys, and thousands of insects. The forest floor is dominated by decomposers, fungi, bacteria, and organisms like leafcutter ants and jaguars. Mark 3, temperature and humidity. Canopy is hot, variable, and wind-exposed. Forest floor is warm, stable, and extremely humid. Mark 4, soil and vegetation. Both have thin, nutrient-poor soil, but the canopy has dense, overlapping crowns while the forest floor has very little ground vegetation due to low light. The critical rule: every single comparison must name what is happening in both layers. The canopy and forest floor are not just different environments. They sustain each other in a relationship that is fundamental to the rainforest's survival. The canopy feeds the forest floor. Every leaf that falls from a canopy tree is the input to the decomposition cycle on the forest floor. Without that leaf fall, the decomposers have nothing to process and no nutrients are released. The forest floor feeds the canopy, decomposition releases nutrients into the thin soil, and canopy tree roots absorb those nutrients to build new growth. The canopy also protects the forest floor. By intercepting 80% of rainfall, it reduces the force of rain hitting the ground, preventing erosion of the thin topsoil. Remove the canopy, and you simultaneously remove the nutrient input to the cycle, the rainfall protection, and the forest floor microhabitat conditions. All three break together. Chapter 5. Canopy removal and permanent ecosystem damage, the cascade for final exam question 2. Removing the canopy triggers a cascade of consequences. Consequence 1, soil erosion. The canopy intercepts 80% of rainfall. Without it, heavy convectional rain hits bare soil directly at full force. The thin, nutrient-rich topsoil, which took thousands of years to develop, is stripped away within months. Consequence 2, nutrient cycle collapse. With no trees, there is no leaf fall. With no leaf fall, decomposers have nothing to break down. No decomposition means no new nutrients enter the soil. The nutrient cycle stops completely. Consequence 3, leaching. Tree roots are gone. Nothing absorbs rainfall as it filters through the soil. Any residual nutrients are rapidly washed downward below the reach of any future plant roots. Within 2 to 3 growing seasons, the soil is completely infertile, unable to support the regrowth of forest vegetation. And here is why the damage is permanent. Not just serious, but permanent. Growing a rainforest back requires soil conditions that only a functioning rainforest can provide. But to provide those soil conditions, you need the trees. This is a circular dependency with no external fix. Without deep topsoil, rainforest seedlings cannot establish root systems strong enough to survive. Without the canopy microhabitats, the pollinators and seed dispersers that rainforest plants depend on for reproduction are gone, and without them, even if seeds are present, they cannot germinate and establish successfully. Without decomposers active in the right conditions, no new nutrients build up in the soil. The system that maintained the forest was the forest itself. Once it is gone, it cannot restart from zero. This is what permanent damage means in the exam context, and it is what every final exam question 2 answer must explain. Practice. Pause 2. Pause the video now. Your question, final exam question 2, 4 marks. Explain why removing the canopy trees from a tropical rainforest causes permanent damage to the entire ecosystem. Write your full answer before you unpause. 4 marks means 4 distinct consequences, each explained causally. You must also explain why the damage is permanent, not just that trees are gone. When you are ready, unpause for the model answer. Final exam question. 2 model answer. Mark 1. The canopy intercepts 80% of rainfall. Without it, heavy rain hits bare soil directly, causing severe surface erosion that strips away the thin, nutrient-rich topsoil within months. Mark 2. Without trees, there is no leaf fall, decomposers have nothing to break down, no new nutrients are released, and the nutrient cycle stops completely. Mark 3. With tree roots gone, rainfall leaches any remaining soil nutrients downward, below the reach of future plant roots, making the soil completely infertile within 2 to 3 growing seasons. Mark 4. The understory and forest floor lose shade and humidity. Pollinators and seed dispersers disappear. Without them, rainforest trees cannot regenerate even if seeds are present, making the damage permanent. Check your answer for all 4. Each consequence explained, permanent nature addressed. Let us close with the 3 mistakes fixed, 5 things to remember, and what to do next. Mistakes fixed, WA. Question 1. Always list from tallest to shortest, emergent first. WA. Question 2. Explain the mechanism. Dense overlapping crowns absorb 80% of radiation. Not just, the canopy is at the top. WA. Question 3. 3 separate reasons: biomass, rapid root uptake, and leaching. 5 things to remember. 1. 4 layers top to bottom. 2. Canopy intercepts 80% by density, not by height. 3. Soils are poor because of biomass, rapid uptake, and leaching. 4. The 5-step nutrient cycle. 5. Canopy removal triggers a cascade ending in permanent soil infertility. What to do next? Complete worksheets. A and B, attempt the WA practice set, then the final exam practice. Then watch video 12, Plant and Animal Adaptations.